Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're great, time top shelf, and ready to go. We can rain. It is raining in Vegas, and I am not one to like the rain, but it's nice. I don't know why, but it's soothing. Everybody here loves it. They love it. I don't know. You've heard about my history with rain, but it's nice. It's like when I was young and you got that summer shower. Boom. Monsoon season, I think is what they're calling it. I don't know monsoons. Anyhow, remember back in the old Westerns? Grew up watching Westerns with my dad. Love a good Western movie, but back in the day, a lot of the programming, prime time, was Westerns. You had Gunsmoke and Bonanza, The Rifleman, going way back, Bat Masterson. And then when he passed away a few months ago, but when I would go back and stay with him, we would watch Westerns all day. I forget what it was, Me TV, I think is what it was, but it was like 6 hours of Westerns. But one thing that I remembered, and the symbolism was consistent and it was very strong. But one of the things you could always tell in the old Westerns, the good guys usually wore a white hat or a light-colored hat, and the bad guys would wear the black hat. The hero almost always wore a white hat. And then you look back and there's other little symbolisms throughout it, the horse they rode or the different things. But the main things were the hero or the good guy wore white. The outlaw wore black. Yeah. You didn't need subtitles. You didn't need a plot to be able to tell who was who. Now, Bat Masterson wore black, but he had on the tux and the derby. He ain't from here. But I think it's harder to tell that in real life, which is obvious. Wouldn't it be easier if someone that was wearing, a good person with good character, if they wore a white hat, just to let you know? It's not that clear. In our world today, the lines are blurred, if there are any lines at all. And good people get tempted. Good people make bad choices. A lot of times, good people make bad choices by mistake. They're deceived by bad people. And every day, whether you're at home, work, or play, we got to decide what hat to put on. And I think it's very important. It's one of the most important things we do, to consistently wear the white hat for a ton of reasons. It's a choice. It's a choice we make. And let's talk about some of the characteristics of the people that wear white hats. First, and I think probably most important, is integrity. Integrity. Doing the right thing, even when no one's watching, or even when it's unpopular, or even when it makes your road a little tougher. A man I've grown to really respect over the last couple of years said, integrity, do what you say. Because if you don't do what you say, it really doesn't matter what you say. Wow, that's strong. If you can't believe what you say, it doesn't matter what you say. 69% of employees say that in the workplace, their culture is shaped by the integrity of the leaders. Oh, I believe that 100%. Not only it's shaped by the leaders, by what they do, but also what they don't do. The leaders, that sets the tone. So it's so important. However, all the way down to the person, if you have a totem pole, I haven't used this term in a while, the person at the very bottom, their integrity is just as important. It may not shape everything, but they decide every day whether they wear the white hat or not. The whole thing, it builds trust, decision-making, integrity. It strengthens relationships. It makes you the one people can count on. It is so key. There are people I used to talk to at least once a day that I hardly ever talk to anymore. And it doesn't bother me. You know why? They lost their integrity. They did. I can't trust them. They don't do what they say they would do. I don't talk to them because they don't listen. And I don't ask them questions because I can't believe a word they say. And that's sad. It's sad. And for a while, I thought I was wearing the white hat, but they weren't wearing the white hat, but you couldn't tell. And they were feeding me information I couldn't believe. And sometimes I would pass that on. And so I thought I was wearing the white hat. I was believing falsehoods. They lost their integrity, and it damaged mine to some people. So even sometimes when we think we're wearing the white hat, we're passing along black hat information. So integrity, one very strong characteristic of wearing the white hat. Second, courage, choosing principles over popularity, choosing risk over what's comfort. It's tough. I chose to leave a company I was with for 20 years because they lost their integrity. The leaders lost their integrity. And I chose to leave. And yeah, that took courage. However, it goes back to it. If they can't be trusted, I don't want to wear the black hat just to be comfortable. So it took courage. 71% of people regret not showing more courage in their life decisions. This was taken with a bunch of people in the later years of their life. I don't know the exact age. I believe they were over 70. But when they asked them about regret, they didn't regret the things that they had done as much as the things that they didn't do. And we've talked about that. But the thing is, the reason 71% of them said the reason they didn't do it is because they didn't have the courage. The risk. Take a risk reward. Now, I don't believe in going out and taking stupid risks as much as I used to. But I know people who still haven't done some things. Some people very close to me. They love that bubble. They love that comfort zone. And it is. That's why they call it a comfort zone. It's very easy. However, 71% said they wish they'd had more courage and done the things they were afraid to do. What it does, courage keeps you from taking the easy way out, and it deepens relationships just through honesty. When you've got integrity, you've got the courage, you may be saying, look, I'm scared. Scared people full of fear can have courage. Without fear, it doesn't take courage, right? But it creates a toughness, resilience, whether at home, work, or play. Sometimes I have done things in the past that I didn't think were particularly courageous, but as I look back, it was either I was stupid, it was dumb luck, or I wanted something so bad, I was too dumb to be afraid. And people say, that really took courage. I think, no, I got somebody looking over me. I don't have a big brother, but I got somebody bigger taking care of me, because sometimes you have to have the courage to go for it. And sometimes you have to have the blind desire masked as courage. Either way, you can do that and still wear the white hat. So integrity, courage, and you got to have compassion. In order to wear that white hat, you have to care about the needs of others. Now you could probably put empathy in here. It's very similar, but it's not just seeing the needs of other people, it's responding to it. It's helping them out. And if you can't help them out, at least have compassion and have a response to it. And I know there have been times where all I could do was be there. Well, be there. They don't have anywhere to go. Let them come stay with you. Meet them in some way. Respond to their needs. That's compassion. Compassionate leaders, servant leadership, all sorts of things. They have different titles at different times, but a compassionate leader is so important. They generate 26% higher engagement to their teams because they see and respond to the needs of the team, not only on a professional level, but on a personal level. It's so important. And so many times a company will arrange its culture around these 5 traits I'm talking about. And a lot of times the first one to go is the compassion. Hopefully the first not to go is an integrity, because when that's gone, everything's gone. But I've seen it, a lack of compassion, not meaning that they don't see the problem, they don't respond like they once did. Maybe it's money, maybe it's profit, maybe it's pressure. I've seen when a company gets to a $1 billion threshold, things change. When they get to a $2 billion, the same things usually change. And once you get more corporate, more structured, and more on the idea of pleasing a board or Wall Street or something like that, the compassion goes away because it's a more sterile environment, unfortunately. And that's not always the case. It's just been what I've seen. So the whole thing around this with compassion and why it's so important in wearing the white hat, it guides fair decisions. I mean, you might not always side with that person that is in need. However, you do respond. You see it and you respond, and you can have integrity around the fairness. A compassionate person or workplace, it fosters forgiveness. It makes other people have compassion, and it just makes the environment warmer, closer knit, and in that regard, much stronger. Compassion, very important in the white hat community. Also, responsibility. My goodness, own it. Own it. Own your actions, your impact, your commitments, your words. Having responsibility is part of integrity. It's just some people, they can't enjoy what they got for fear of losing it, but they're in constant fear of losing their job, and they don't do their job because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble, or they'll do it wrong, or they'll slip up. That's a leadership problem, honestly. However, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm afraid to do something because I'm afraid I'll mess up and I'm afraid I'll lose my job. You're going to lose your job from a lack of activity. So own it. Take responsibility. 82% of people respect leaders more when they admit their mistakes. 82%. You don't have to be, no one's flawless. So to act like you are, you're not fooling anybody. And 82% of your people, they'll respect you more if you can admit your mistakes. There have been a couple of times I have taken bullets, not literal, professional bullets for sure, for people who I've covered. Not that I'm not covering anything they did wrong. I am taking the responsibility. Now, we've done an O-Talk on the difference in fault and responsibility. It wasn't my fault. However, it was my responsibility. So when they tried to come down on some of my soldiers, absolutely not. I took the hit. That got me more respect, more loyalty, more cohesiveness with the team than I ever dreamed. I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because it was the right thing to do. But what that does, when you take responsibility, it builds reliability. And it's not talking out of both sides of my mouth here. Yeah, I make mistakes. But I'm more reliable. I'm more reliable because I admit it. And if I admit I make mistakes, I'm probably going to ask for help. And absolutely. If I'm the strongest member on the team, we got a bad team. I still say it. I said it this week. If you need me, bless your heart. If you need help, we can get you help. But owning it shows accountability, not only in the job, but in relationships, all of that. And it makes you the person others want to lean on. No matter where you are, no matter what the situation, because you're responsible. I'll own it. I'll let you brag on me, but I'm going to admit when I do something wrong. And then the fifth thing, and it's always present when somebody wearing the white hat, they have an optimism about them. They don't take the easy way out. They don't do all these other things, but they're optimistic that it will pay off. Good always wins, eventually. But you believe in a better tomorrow, even if it's dark today. Even some of the worst times I've been through and are going through, I have no doubts that it's for a purpose and a reason, and sometimes you got to take that decision away from me because I'll make mistakes. And you got to have faith or trust or this optimism that things are going to work out. And if you have that, it's so much more fulfilling and self-propelling than the opposite. If it was pessimism, no, that's definitely black hat behavior. Optimists live 11 to 15% longer than pessimists. That is a Boston University study. I don't know any details, but I love the stat. 11 to 15% longer. I think it's because they're happier and they're working towards something. Where a pessimist, they're sad. They're sad and they're negative. Optimism gets you through things that pessimism will get you in the middle of and never get through. It fuels solutions. An optimist will look for the way. He may not have the way, but he's looking for it because he knows there is a way. He or she, don't beat me up. Also, who'd you rather be around? If you're negative, you'd probably rather be around a negative person, but you won't feel any better. An optimist can turn a negative person, or that negative person will go away. But usually they leave feeling a little better. It uplifts the relationship and inspires. It's inspiring. In business, in friendships, if you're alone and an optimist, you're going to be in a better place than if you're alone and you're a pessimist. Optimists can talk themselves out of a bad mood, of a bad situation. A pessimist, no, they can talk themselves out of a good situation and into a bad situation. So that's the 5 characteristics of the white hat society here. It's integrity, courage, compassion, responsibility, and optimism. I love it. I absolutely love it. So the temptation of the black hat, there's a lot of them. In every Western, the black hat guy, that has its appeal. Some people like the bad guy. But usually, if you think about it, it's around quick money, a shortcut, easy power, things like that. And life tempts us in the same way. They need money in a Western. What do? Rob a bank. They have an altercation with somebody. They don't like somebody. What do? They shoot them. They got problems. Things are going on. They're getting drunk in a bar and getting in a bar fight. Yeah. All of that kind of stuff. But they take shortcuts. So life does the same thing to us. And I'm not casting stones because I've done these things before. A lot of them. But it's black hat temptations to cut corners instead of doing the work. And I've heard so many stories around this. And technology helps us. I saw several stories this week about ChatGPT in colleges. People just letting that write the paper for them. The technology is there. One thing, it's happened several times in the last 6 months. Students who are actually doing the work and studying, and they score too good on the test, they get accused of cheating. They didn't cut corners, but cutting corners is becoming easier and easier. Cutting corners financially or morally, which is the same thing, honestly. But there's all types of ways to take shortcuts instead of doing the work. It's classic black hat temptation. Also, this is one that's more subtle, and it's, if you've done this, but staying silent instead of correcting the record or speaking the truth. The thing that kills me is when I find out something has been said in a room where the person is not present, someone knew the truth and didn't stand up for them. They didn't have a friend in that room. If I find out that happens to me, I can cut the fat. But staying silent instead of speaking the truth. This is one thing my mom taught me. Oh, my goodness. It embarrassed the heck out of me when I was young. But if she knew something was wrong or false and it was being perpetrated throughout a conversation, she would speak up. It didn't matter if we were in church and there were 500 people in there and she's the only one. She would speak up. She could not be silent. White hat. Also, selfishness is another one. To serve yourself instead of others. That goes to the compassion. And we got to take care of ourselves. I've got some heat, not too much because I can correct it easily when we talk about when your selfishness is above your empathy, peace is not possible. Some people have hit me back on that. And no, it's true. It's true. I'm not going to get into the whole thing again. However, I'm not saying don't think of yourself. And you've got your journey and you've earned it and it's time. And some people are so selfless, they're self-destructive. We don't want that. But when you don't care about what your actions, you don't care about the impact they have on other people, you dismiss that, you're not going to find peace. It will come back. Now, what I'm talking about here is when you are so focused on yourself and others, going back to the compassion, when you see but don't respond to any of the needs of other people, that's a black hat. Not a black cat. It's a black hat. Yeah. And then another one, blame game. Blame game is so easy. Don't use these fingers. Quit pointing at other people. The blame game is a black hat characteristic. And then it goes back to the pessimist or the optimist to choose cynicism instead of hope. That is almost taking a shortcut. Almost the same. Being negative is easy. Being negative is lazy. Sometimes you have to dig to find hope. Yeah. Hope is a white hat mentality. But the temptation of all these, it's real. It's real. And it's the world. It's wokeness. It's cancel culture. It's all of these things. 74% of employees admit they have felt pressure to compromise their white hat. They didn't say white hat, but their white hat characteristics. Yeah, that's just that black hat whispering. No, nobody will know. Just do this one time. Just one time. That one time has destroyed your integrity, which is, boom. It's the first one to fall. So there are so many temptations out there. And I get a lot of discussion around, David, I'm just not outspoken and I don't want to cause any trouble. I get it, man. I get it. I've been there. And sometimes you not only have to pick your battles, you have to pick the timing. And maybe I can dig more into that. It may not be speaking up in front of the whole group, but it could be pulling that person aside and asking them about that particular part. They may be doing what I have done before, passing on incorrect information. Correct that record. If not publicly, at least privately. If nothing else but to make yourself feel better or feel right, still wearing the white hat. So what do we do, just big picture, to fight this black hat mentality or temptation? First thing is just remember the long game. Black hats, they win, but they win quick. White hat people win forever. They win the long game. They sleep at night. They feel good about themselves. They have better relationships, which is the long game. Yeah, you may be black hat guy and be a hit at a party. All right, party's over. Just think about it. What is a better strategy for 5 years from now? Yeah, white hat guys, long term, guys and girls. Also, you've got to have some core values. We all do. Anchor yourself to those. Decide in advance what are non-negotiables, what you will not compromise on. I know a lot of times when I've done a weight loss thing, I would have certain things absolutely not. I can't eat that. I will not eat that. And that would be fried foods, sweets. I never did it for that long, but non-negotiables. I can do all this over here, but no, not these things. I remember my sister one time, they put her on, she was having some health problems, and they said, don't eat anything white except for cauliflower. which means no bread, no potatoes, the non-negotiables. That's what to resist the black hat stuff. No, these are things I will not do, but also here are my core values that will not be compromised. Also, to beat back the black hat mentality is accountability. People with accountability are 65% more likely to follow through on anything. On a program, a weight loss program, on a New Year's resolution, on going to the gym, on going to a function, being part of a group. Get somebody to hold you accountable. Get a partner. Get another white hat mentality person and associate with them. Find people that will tell you the baby's ugly if the baby's ugly. Because it's respected, it's needed, and you're going to need it. You need to be that person to somebody else, but you need to find that person in your life. It's fantastic. And once you have it, you're going to be more successful. You're going to complete more things, and you're going to be more resistant to the black hat mentality. Also, discipline is so key. And really all of these are disciplines, but daily discipline. If you make good small choices, you're going to make better big choices. The thing is, a lot of times we make good big choices. It's an accumulation of the small one. I didn't say anything there. I should have said this. It's just this. It's just this one time. See, these little things, they will build up. And you don't take the white hat off and put the black hat on, usually as a lifestyle or a character change. It's a slow, that white hat gets a little mud on it, or it gets a little dingy or whatever. And then you may take it off. You may go without a hat for a while. I need a hat. All I've got is this black one. It doesn't happen just like that. And the thing is, visualization works. A lot of the coaches, whether physical, quarterback, they picture the plays in their mind when they're sitting in the locker room. Golfers, they picture a shot, the trajectory, and whatever angle they're going at before. I think it's important to resist the black hat mentality, to visualize the cost of failure. Imagine the fallout of betrayal, a broken trust, or regret before you reach for that black hat. Think about that. Ugh. Tough. That would be a deterrent for me, for sure, to think about that. The problem is a lot of times we just do it. That's because a lack of discipline, or we don't take time to think about the long game, or our core values, maybe they're not as core as they once were. We need to build those back up. Or no one's checking on you, so you don't have accountability. Yeah. But those are 5 things I think will help resist the black hat. The thing is, there are lifelong rewards for wearing the white hat. Lifelong. Trust that follows you. Reputations are built. You don't buy a reputation. A lot of times your reputation is what others have seen you do that you may not even know they've seen you. When somebody says your reputation precedes you, hopefully that's a good thing. But trust follows you. Once trust is broken, I'm telling you, once I don't trust you, we may still travel in large circles together, but you will never be a part of my circle, my inner circle. The opposite is true for white hat people. You are dubbed as trustworthy. You can trust this guy. I love it. I remember we did, in one of the companies I was with, they did a full 360, and that means different things, but this was a full 360, which means they talked to X number of people above you, peers, people that reported to you over the years. They talked to customers, people you have dealt with. They talked to friends. They talked to people in all walks of life. They talk to your golf buddies. When they talk to your peers, a lot of these people don't like you. And for that to come back with some of the compliments that I got, I had no idea. Some of these people I didn't know well at all. But that's one thing, and I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying he does what he says. That's what they said. If he says he'll do it, he'll do it. If he says he'll be here at a certain time, he'll be here then. And that's that trustworthiness. It follows you. So that's a great reward of the white hat. Peace of mind. You can't put a dollar figure on peace of mind. No. There's a lot to be said for being able to lay down, put your head on your pillow at night and know you put in a good day's work. You helped somebody. You didn't put yourself first. You had empathy. You worked hard. You did the right thing. You wore the white hat. Peace of mind. Whereas, if you put that black hat on and took a shortcut, that's not peace of mind. If you saw somebody needed help, you could have helped them and you didn't. Oh, okay. Can't have that. With a white hat, you've got peace of mind. So much to be said for that. And people, your relationships are the most important thing in your life. People invest in relationships and other people that they trust. You're going to let them down. Doesn't mean you're untrustworthy. It means you're human. But those strong relationships with these positive people, like I've talked about, so important. And then opportunities. Doors open for white hat people. Yeah. They deadbolt them for black hat people. They may let them in, but it's going to be more work. But doors open for white hat people. People can tell that you have peace of mind. If you're trustworthy, that's a reputation. And doors are going to open for you. It's fantastic. It generates opportunity. So important. And then I don't think about this. I've thought about it a little for other people recently that I've lost in my life. But that would be legacy. White hat people will be remembered for, not for what they had, but for who they were and the positive things. Black hat people will be remembered for the same thing. It's not what you accumulate. It's based on how you operate. You're trustworthy. Man of your word. You did what you said you'd do to the best of your ability. You didn't quit. You didn't give up. You had empathy. All of those things, that builds a legacy. My dad built a legacy. At his funeral, that's what you hear. A lot of people, your dad was a good man and blah, blah, and they'll tell a story one time and they tell a story. And that's legacy. I don't worry about legacy. Please, I'm going to outlive all of you. However, the white hat people build legacies that inspire others to also wear the white hat for all those reasons. So important. So how do we keep it though? Because temptation is there. We talked about the temptation. We talked about ways to resist the temptation. How do we keep that white hat characteristics and mentality and all of those things in our life? Because it's a slippery slope. Man, sometimes that shortcut's right there and I could just take that shortcut this one time. And I have. First thing, check your motives before the decision. Why am I doing this? Is this the best? Is this the easiest, but is it the best? Sometimes the easiest is the best. However, why? Why? Is it to do something to someone? Is it to take something away from someone? Is it jealousy? Is it greed? What are these things? So check your motives before your decision. And then surround yourself with other white hat people. I'm a broken record on this. Good people should hang around good people, positive people. I have negative friends that I still hang out with, but that's just so I can give them a booster shot of positivity. Surround yourself with other white hat people. Admit your mistakes quickly. Yep. Oh, hey, messed that up. Oh. Whoo, boy, did I ever lob a turd in the punch bowl on this one. My bad. My mistake. Humility will keep it clean. That would be like, I messed up. Oh, I got some mud on my hat. Look, I did this. Clean it right then. Boom, the hat stays clean. Whereas if you don't, it's stained in more ways than one. Another thing, serve other people. That keeps your compassion in balance. If you don't do it for a while, it makes doing it a little awkward. You ever been there? Yeah, somebody's going through a tough time. You haven't called them in a while. Time goes by, still going through a tough time. Now it makes that call tougher. Keep it. Keep serving people. Keep reaching out. Notice and respond. Keeps your compassion in balance. And then I think no matter what is going on, stay hopeful. Stay hopeful. Optimism keeps you on the straight and narrow in a real dark world. It's light. Optimism is the light. Stay hopeful. And when you go back, all these other steps lead you to that. You're checking your motives. You're surrounding yourself with other white hat people. You're admitting your mistakes and you're serving others. Stay hopeful. It's going to work out. Maybe not the way you want to, but the way it needs to. Yeah. Got to be the white hat guy. So every day we wake up with a choice. That black hat is so tempting. It's easy. The black hat will let us sleep late. It whispers temptations. Oh, you can just call in. Yeah, take a long lunch. Leave early. But that white hat, that's integrity. That white hat, if you decide to call in, you tell the truth when you call in. Not that white hat people don't call in. But that integrity and courage and compassion and responsibility and optimism, boom. When you choose that, that sets the stage. The heroes on the old Westerns, no matter if they wore white hats or black hats, even the white hat people, they weren't perfect, but they were clear. The white hat always stood for good. It reminds me of wrestling. When you've got the hero and you got the heel, and sometimes they flip. You know how that happens? You can always tell by their actions and a lot of times by what they're wearing, if they were a good guy or a bad guy. The same's true today as it was in the Westerns. The hat you wear shapes the life you live and the relationships you build and the legacy you're going to leave. So my challenge to you, same as my challenge to myself every day, be the one in the white hat. So many deals that we review how it went. Maybe we won, maybe we lost. But anybody that's worked with me, they know I have said for over 2 decades, we wore the white hat on this one, whether we won or lost. Yeah, we lost it, but we had integrity. We wore the white hat on this one. So I encourage you, check those things. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging out. Please hit me up with your comments on this, david@otalks.com or dave@otalks.com. It's crazy time. There's a lot of black hats that are, they're covered up. They're fake white hats. And technology is helping with that. So wear that white hat. You're going to be happier. You're going to have peace. And you're going to be more successful. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging on. But most of all, thanks for O-Talking with Dave. Giddy up.